Hey everybody, Big Bear here, and we're continuing our Don't Panic series for maintaining our Creality Ender machines. What we have here are the materials necessary not only to get started before your first print, but also to make your life a little bit easier and keep your downtime to a minimum, which is the overall goal of this series. I do recommend acquiring everything that is on the table in front of me before you start printing with your new Creality machine. The simple fact is just getting this guy assembled and putting filament in it is not going to be enough to generate high quality, consistent prints. And it's especially important that we take these first few steps if we're going to be running more than one machine. So the most important part of this would be this data cable right here. Now, you're going to want to check the SD card port on your machine because right next to it is going to determine the cable type you'll need. Some are micro USB, some are mini USB. It depends on which machine you have and the generation of the board. But generally speaking, it's going to be one of those two. You're going to need to have this. Without this, we're not able to communicate with the board, and we can't make any adjustments to the heating elements or the extrusion. So very, very important to acquire this cable. Additionally, we're going to want a set of electronic calipers. This is to provide precise measurements. Again, we're dealing with fractions of a millimeter in some of these measurements. You can't just eyeball it. You're definitely going to want a precision instrument like this. And then, real simple, for your markings, you're going to want something like a Sharpie or similar marker. And these are going to let you do the essential calibrations that make sure your prints are not only high quality, but more importantly, accurate. And that's going to allow you to print multi-part prints without having bad gaps or misalignments. This second set of items here, now these aren't necessary. These are quality of life improvements that I recommend having regardless of how many machines you have or which one they are. And that's going to be first this larger scraper. Creality puts a lot of really small scrapers in some of these early machines. It's so much easier with these big ones. Get yourself a bigger one. Additionally, you're going to get all the wrenches you need, but those little fiddly wrenches are hard to use. They're hard on your fingers. I like to pick up a set like this one, where it has the little twirly bit on the end. It makes working on the machine a lot easier. You're going to be using these a lot, so you might as well make them stress-free. Now, Creality's been including this cool little tool in a lot of their newer machines, but if your kit does not come with one, definitely grab this little nozzle tool. This makes adding and removing nozzles so fast, and you're going to be doing that more than any other repair. So this is an essential must-have tool for maintaining a Creality Ender Series machine from the 3 through the 6. Now, a lot of people will tell you that the Elmer's purple washable spool glue is not necessary, and those people are no fun. It makes life a lot easier. Most of my build plates, if you look at this one, they've had layer after layer over time, and this build surface will never let PLA go. It loves it. You need a big scraper. It's good stuff. It's also dirt cheap. It's like $8 for 40 sticks. So I mean, it's a really great way to give you that little bit of extra adhesion. It can help if your maybe your level's a tiny bit off, but more importantly, I like it for those smaller prints, like tiny supports and things, to prevent them from getting knocked off during the traversal of the carriage. So I tend to have a layer of Elmer's glue on just about every print I do. Now, the rest of these are not optional. You don't necessarily need them before you start printing because this is what we have for when things go wrong. But let's go through some of these and why they're important. And the first is going to be nozzles. You're going to go through an absolutely absurd number of nozzles. Now, here's the thing. Anytime I perform a repair on the machine, and I'll talk about this in later videos, I replace the nozzle. Now, yes, that's probably overkill, but nozzles degrade over time. Not only does the little tiny hole here become wider and therefore less accurate, but the tip gets rubbed down by smashing into the bed eventually. All the different things, the heat, all the damage that it sustains over time makes it less and less accurate every time you print them. Now, they do last a good while, but my logic is they're maybe 40 cents each. They're not worth saving. So you won't see any nozzle cleaners or anything like that here. Just throw it out. If you have a malfunction, throw out your nozzle, grab a new one. Buy packs of 25 or something from Amazon. They're dirt cheap. Now, another part you're going to be replacing fairly often is going to be pneumatic couplers. Maybe either here on the hot end or on the extruder. Now you're going to want to make sure there's different types depending on the throat. You have the hot end uses the thicker one, and most metal extruders will too, but make sure you're getting the right pneumatic couplers or they're absolutely no good to you. Now, you can buy these in both plastic and metal, and if you buy the plastic, you're going to suffer. The difference in price is negligible, and you're not going to experience anywhere near as many failures with the metal. So do not try and save money and buy plastic couplers. Now, fans, I'll admit the side cooling fan does not go out very often. I have some of these that are egregiously old and still working great. However, the front cooling fan does need to be replaced with some regularity. Either it gets damaged because debris gets in there and clogs it up, the bearings go bad, whatever it may be. I find that this fan gets replaced much, much more often than the other. Now, you're going to be tempted when replacing fans. You'll see big lots of fans. I think it was Winson was one of the brands that are out there. Do not buy those fans. Buy Creality fans. And the reason is those fans are not designed for the level of usage it's going to go through. The bearings go out very, very quickly, and you're going to run into all sorts of problems. So do not go anywhere but Creality fans. They work. I've got, I don't know how many machines running them right now. Cannot, cannot recommend any other fan, please. Now, some other stuff here, the hot end would be the other big one to see replaced fairly often. You may think, well, that's weird, but a lot of different malfunctions can destroy your hot end very quickly. There's different kinds of things that can happen to the hot end, and when they do, it's toast, and it's not worth saving. So I find I do have to replace them fairly often. And when we're doing any of this wiring, whether it's the hot end, whether it's the fans, we're going to want to be equipped for that. So you're going to want spare wiring. You're going to want shrink tube. In some cases, if you need to tape things down inside the case, you may want some electrical tape. Um, but you don't really need solder. You can do most of this with just the shrink tube and twisting things together. I don't really pull the soldering iron out to fix these machines. It's really not necessary. The repairs are very quick and easy to perform without it. Now, something important to note, this is another thing that a lot of people don't know. When you're purchasing these hot ends, you'll see this one is red with a gold body. When I ordered many of my machines, they came with an all silver hot end. I don't know if this is true necessarily for everyone, but I ordered 25 of those machines and every one of those silver hot ends failed. And every silver hot end that I have purchased since then has failed catastrophically. Only these red and gold ones seem to do the trick. So again, stick with Creality parts when it comes to some of these replacements. A lot of these other companies, they're making really low grade stuff, and it's not designed to hold up to the use we want to get out of our machine. So the last thing that you're probably going to be buying in abundance is bearing wheels. Now, these don't actually get replaced that often, but when these go bad, it's an instantaneous problem. When either the bearing goes out or if it gets worn down so much, your prints are going to instantly go to crap. So definitely have at least one pack on hand. That way you don't have the whole thing going. So we can talk a little bit about some of the parts that aren't in here and why. The first being the power supply. I have replaced maybe 5 power supplies over 4 years. That's across at any given time between 30 and 40 machines that are running in my shop. It's a pretty rare replacement. And the same goes for the main board. I've only had to swap out a few main boards, and most of the main boards that were damaged, it was my fault. The only thing I honestly have never had to replace is the stepper motor. So I don't think I've replaced the stepper motors one time. So I would not advise you to keep an inventory of any of those items. It's really, really not necessary. Uh, there was one more consumable. I'm sorry, it's these silicone socks. Some malfunctions will destroy them, and if you don't have any extras, they'll throw off your prints if you don't have them. So almost every hot end replacement I've bought has had these, so it's never really been a concern. But if you don't, make sure you have at least one extra on hand. I hope you found this helpful. In some of the next videos in this series, we're going to be discussing how to perform some of these repairs and sort of a standard operating procedure for when we have a malfunction. to quickly get the machine back on the line and printing again. Again, thank you for your time, and make sure you, if this helped with, if this video was helpful for you, please take the time to like and subscribe. It really does help.